The name of the show is The Way to Go. Tonight's guest is my father, Max Bendich. I'm Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. And the last episode, my father has already been back from World War II. He's had two children, my sister Miriam, Mimi, and my brother David. And they still have a laundry in Manhattan, and they haven't bought a house yet. So, Pop, I guess when, welcome to the show, first of all. So, I guess you got the house probably around 1950, I would think,
Okay.
right? So, because Mimi still remembers living in Bryant Avenue, was that
Right.
it? Bryant Avenue. So you bought a house, and I guess, and you continued working in the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, didn't you have some famous customers, or was that later, Martha Schlam?
Wait. I had very famous, because I'm a hustler.
Right.
I went into building. I had Lena Horn.
Right.
I had her husband, and he's older than her.
Oh,
I
so-
forget the man's
okay.
name, but a very famous man.
Okay.
I had a check one time from Paul Robeson. He came down into the laundry. We wanted us to cash a $100 check.
Right.
And my father said, I thought, I want to keep this. Bring it to the bank. We had, and
Didn't you have Yul Brenner as well as a customer?
no, Yul Brenner lived on 467 Central Park West. And while we were talking, he was about to throw out something. And Alan gave us a big cash,
I know.
almost up to the building. And how I took it home, I don't know. And
I remember it was in your bedroom. I remember it was a big red closet.
But,
that
what
was,
a and it was Yul Brenner's
I
closet.
know.
And again,
You had Hal Jackson as a customer,
Well,
but that's
yeah,
later.
that's it.
But you had Hal Jackson. Okay,
oh,
so
wait, one other. Somebody who takes the music and puts everything together,
a DJ. Oh no, a producer.
Another producer. He's part of the well-known. I forgot his name.
Okay, so
all right.
it was someone famous.
Yeah, somebody
Okay,
famous.
so you had the laundry, then you had another kid, May, and that was in 1955. And I still remember the laundry store in Manhattan.
Right. Oh, when I used to read to you,
Well,
and
yeah.
I would tell you a
But
story.
you also did that. You did that. Yeah, talk
would-
about it.
We would go to Mom would bring you down to Manhattan,
Right.
and I would mangle the
Oh,
clothes.
by that time we already. I'm sorry. We left out a spot. We left out a part. We moved to the Bronx, because when you moved to the Bronx in 1950. We said that.
Right.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. It was you were one of the first people in the
in Mickle Avenue,
on Mickle Avenue in the Bronx, and
and I was the only Jew.
we were the only Jewish family on the block.
That's right.
And it was basically a Catholic neighborhood,
A
right?
Catholic neighborhood, Catholics.
And it was
And
basically an anti-Semitic neighborhood.
And this is what happened, that you know about this. The day we moved in, and we have the furniture. So the next, across the street from us, she has a farm. Actually, there was a farm. She came over to us, a young lady, spoke to Dorothy, and said, if you think that you're going to have tea with us, and you're mistaken, and walked away.
Right.
That's how I was a greeting from my next
And,
door.
there's a lot of stories. I also know that Mom said our next door neighbor once, we showed the downstairs apartment to an African-American lady, because it was a two-family house that we
Right.
had. And my mother actually got beaten up by our next door neighbor in front of my brother and my sister. That's before I was born. But we had terribly why you picked that neighborhood, I'll never know, Pop, but
Why?
you did.
Frankly, why?
Yes.
It was a good house.
Right.
And it was cheap and comparative. And I didn't have the money. I had to lie, but the bank accepted everything.
Right.
Now look into this. I was a GI, you got a 4% mortgage. All GIs got a 4% mortgage. In the same bank, they were giving 5% interest on the money. So here I would deposit the money at 5%. They would take out, and many times they called me in. They wanted to buy the mortgage
Mortgage
from me,
back.
and I never gave it to
Right.
them.
So you had the original mortgage all along.
All along, the original mortgage.
Right. Okay. So then you moved the laundry from Manhattan to the Bronx
To the Bronx.
when I was about 3 years old.
All
I
right.
remember that. That was a big deal because Mom was working in the store.
In the store. Mom was helping out in the illustrate. And we have pictures of that.
Right.
Tasha.
And I remember the other thing I do remember and Miriam at that point, Mimi was 9 years older than me,
Okay.
and David was 6 years older than me, so they had their own lives. But I remember that you used to sit at the mangle. Now, what's a mangle?
No. You get wet. Everything comes back wet.
Right.
You have to iron it. But this you don't iron. Handkerchiefs. A mangle is around. It's a machine.
It's like a big iron that's circular. It's like a cylinder.
It's a cylinder.
Right.
And you put it. It's a gas.
Right.
And it heats up, and you put things through it. Then it comes out ironed.
It comes out beautifully. So I would watch you iron, and then I'd come over and you had a bench.
Yes.
And I'd sit next to you, and what would you tell me?
And I would tell you stories. Now this is and Alan, we were doing something like this, and we were walking, and we came to a fork in the road.
Right.
Should I go left or should I go right? And one time I would go, Pop, go right for this moment. We were together all, Alan.
I know, you told me all these stories. You told me mythology. It was a beautiful time in my life. It was great.
Well,
we were very close. Oh, there's other things. When we were younger, Mimi took violin lessons, David took violin lessons.
And you took piano
lessons. But we all had music in the house. And who else played the violin in our house?
Me.
Right. So, and you used to play, I just remember, I remember a couple of things when I was growing up, when I was taking my piano lessons. I think I started at 5 or 6. You just come home from work after being like really busy and just close your eyes and sit in your chair and just listen to the music. And it was a good life, Pop.
It was a good life because we accepted how things were.
Right.
We knew we were making a good living.
Right.
We weren't killing ourselves.
Right. And we used to spend time we used to go over to we used to go over to Zadie and Bubby's house. We used to go over to Joe and Lillian's house. We went over to Aaron's house. We used to see everybody. The family was together.
And in the summertime,
yes,
we would go up to Camp Kindle.
I know. Every Sunday we'd go.
Every
Sunday we'd go for free.
Wait a minute. We would have a panel truck. We would come into where we parked the car, and we would sleep.
I don't remember that. So anyway, but what we used to do is we'd go on a Sunday, and we'd have a day trip, and Mommy would make these gigantic meatball sandwiches that we used to call bombs, and we used to eat them, and then we'd come home at night. The other thing is that, so those are some of the wonderful things, but I'm trying to think of, so the other, I remember going to, initially I would go stay with Mom in the store all the time, and then I'd come home I remember also going every day to the candy store and having tuna fish sandwiches for some reason. But anyway, we kept on going. Miriam eventually graduated college, and I guess she went to Hunter College, which became Lehman College, and she became a teacher. Right?
And where did she become a teacher? On the block where she was almost born,
right.
on 141st Street.
But did she become a teacher before or after she met Sam? I don't remember. But it's around the time, because they met each other when she was around 21 years old, right? And Sam is Miriam's husband.
Right. An Israeli.
An Israeli.
No, actually.
I know, a German. He was from Germany.
Born in the woods. What do you call it?
Well, he was born in Germany, and then he escaped to Israel.
That's right.
And he was raised in Israel, and then Mimi met him, and they got married. So I guess we're getting close at this point. It's about 1967 or 68 when Mimi got married. And I was bar mitzvahed that year. And then I guess when I was bar mitzvahed, I was in about 8th grade. And then 9th grade, I was graduating junior high school. And Mimi got bar mitzvahed and I got married the same month. June 23rd was my graduation day, June 23rd, 1969, from Frank D. Whalen Junior High School. And Bubby, my mother's mother, and my mother took me to the graduation, and you decided you wanted to go on the route first that day. And what happened?
And it was one of the most terrible days of my life. So this is early in the morning, and I'm working.
Right.
And I'm delivering the laundry in Harlem. Right. Most of my route was in Harlem. And it's early, and people were looking at the and I came down, and I sat in the truck, and 6 kids come over to me. One has a gun, and he puts the gun into me, and he says, we want your money. All right, I see the kids, I give them the money, but at the same time I'm doing that, a block away, a policeman sees what's happening. He starts running.
Right.
Also, about the same time, the people in the building see what's happening. They have guns.
Right.
They're running down the stairs to protect me.
Right.
They hear the shot, and they know already it's too late.
I know. You gave them the wallet, and they still shot you.
They had it.
Right, and then they shot you.
They shot me.
And
No,
then-
I think only because they saw the cop.
Okay. Now, and then I guess, was it a cab that picked you up, or
Well,
the cops picked you up?
The cop almost got.
No, the one that brought you to Harlem Hospital.
Yeah, the cop ran in front of a cab.
Right.
The cab stopped. He took me out of the car,
Right.
put me into the car with himself, go to Harlem Hospital.
Right.
He went to Harlem.
Which specialized at the time in gunshot wounds, but that's a separate issue.
And one of the things was my brother Aaron gets a telephone call.
Right.
He works in Sloan Kettering.
Right. Aaron was also the chairman of the biochemistry department at Cornell Medical School and a lot of other things.
And he comes running over.
Right.
And the first thing he asked me, he said, "Look, I can take you out of here,
Right.
bring you over to New York Hospital." And I said, "You're crazy. Aaron, if you're going to get shot, where is a better place than in Harlem where they do?"
Right.
But the man who did it was an Indian,
Right.
and he took care of me. And he did
The
a
surgeon.
good-
Right.
And now
But what
comes-
happened? Wait.
No.
No. What happened? What happened during the surgery?
Now, this is what I want to tell
Okay.
you. I got shot on the left side.
Right.
The bullet came through me.
Right.
Everything, I was a little heavier.
Yeah.
Everything is on the left side. The pancreas and this. It missed everything.
But I know but they did an exploratory
Oh,
operation.
they have to cut you. They cut you open.
Right.
It's all right. They cut you open. Why? Because they want to see
If anything got in.
if any other
Right.
besides all, nothing.
Right.
Alan,
Right.
it was.
So the other thing is, didn't they change your blood type?
Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. And I had I'm an
You almost bled to death, right?
A plus M or something, and my blood type has changed.
Okay. Now, so you were in the hospital only for a week,
1 week.
but you couldn't work for 6 months. And I remember you had gone in, and Daddy, you were the strongest guy I ever knew in my life. You were able to tread water and make believe you were pulling a rope from Lakeland's dock to the raft.
To the raft.
And you'd make believe you were pulling a rope, but you were really just using your legs. And I just remember after you got shot, and it was a terrible moment for me because I think I had been very negative the night before, and then to find out that you almost died. But I just remember that after you came home, you were always guarding yourself. You didn't want anybody to hit you and all this, and you gave up half your business.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what happened? I mean, you continued working.
I continued working.
But also, was he just about to go into medical school? David had just gotten accepted in medical school, or he was still in college? He was in his last year of college, I think.
Wait, before something else. How about the Korean War?
What Korean War? You mean the Vietnam War?
The Vietnam War.
We talked about that, I think, before.
We talked about.
Yes.
No, because he had, and
Right.
I thought.
No, but he was still. I think it was 1969, and we obviously what happened was when you went to the hospital, David and I took over the laundry.
Yes.
And David, it happened right before the summer, so he had to give up all his activities.
He
during
was
the
driving
summer.
the truck.
Right. And I do remember when I came out of graduation, he told me that you got shot, and that was devastating. So the next year, I guess he went to college. I don't think he took off any time. But I think the next interesting thing that happened was that David, well, actually 1971, a couple of interesting things happened. 1971, you became a grandfather for the first time with Michael Jacob Rosenbaum.
Michael.
And also in 71 was the year that David, I believe, started medical school. So that was an interest. And that was also the last year that Lakeland was around, and I was the last lifeguard in Lakeland. So I remember seeing Michael for the first time right before my 17th birthday. No, right before my 16th birthday when I was a lifeguard, and we still have that picture somewhere.
Mom was one of the happiest people in the world.
Absolutely.
And even though Michael was born, she still wanted another girl,
Right. Well, it's later. So then, okay, so that's 1971. 1972 was the first time I started college. And, Mimi, I guess when Mimi became a mother, she stopped teaching, right? I think so. And I think also, I'm trying to think of the timing. She was living on Decatur Avenue still.
Yes.
She hadn't moved. So I'm trying to think of the next event that happened other than I guess Gaby was the next event, right? 1974. Was that the next event? I think so.
That'll be first Michael, then Gaby.
Then Gaby was born in 1974. And he was a beautiful baby, right?
Everybody,
they're all beautiful.
All our babies.
And you were a grandfather again, and you were really happy. I'm just trying to think of some of the big events. And then, I guess, when did David graduate medical school? I'm trying to think. It must have been around that time, maybe about 75 or 76. And then he was actually a resident.
He was a resident in Montefiore Hospital.
Right.
And before that, he was given a grant. That neighborhood, believe it or not, from Pelham Bay, it was considered a poor neighborhood.
Right.
That's how he became a doctor. He
No.
got to, why?
No,
he said for 2 years.
I think he also had an extended region scholarship. That was one of the things that he got, that's one of the ways he got it. I'm just trying to think. There was a grant? I'm not aware of that. Okay.
There was
I'll have to ask
grant.
David. Okay.
No, you'll ask Dave.
Right.
There was a grant, and if you worked 2 years in that neighborhood,
Right.
he didn't have to pay for.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
No.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm trying to think. Okay, so now we're up to we're getting close to like the later 70s, and I guess we'll shoot up to 1981. In 1981, I decided that I was going to go to California. Right.
And how do you go to California? Train, plane. You were hitchhiking.
No, that wasn't the time I hitchhiked. I took a bus to California.
When were you?
I had hitchhiked when I was 19 years old. I hitchhiked cross country.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And actually, that trip actually started with me going with a bunch of guys, and we got to Menominee, Wisconsin, and I didn't want to stay with these guys anymore because they were really crazy. So I decided that at that point I'd be safer hitchhiking than staying with those guys. But when I decided to go to California, actually, I took a bus, and I was heading towards your cousin Albert's house, just because I'd met him earlier. He had shown me stills of the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which he was the co-executive producer with Michael Douglas, and that was back in '74, and I'd met him then, and he had now he was a vice president of the Fantasy Films, and I was going out there basically to go on a vacation, and it was supposed to be for 3 weeks, and it lasted a little bit longer. So during that time, I wound up starting acting and stuff like that, and then that gave an opportunity for you and Mom to do what?
Now comes something. We decided to go to visit you,
Right.
maybe even to give you a car.
Right, at one point, right.
To give you a car. And first we went to my brother Joe.
Right.
He's on the way, and he was in Arizona. We saw him, and then we went to Los Angeles, to Hollywood.
Right.
And what do I notice? The first, Alan, I'm going into I see a big crowd of policemen.
Right.
And I go over to them, and I'm asking them, how do you get to this? And I don't realize it. They all were wearing New York police, and finally the guys, they're laughing at me. We're actors, There's a policeman. And I take a look. They were on a set.
Right.
And Alan, I remember something else.
Right.
You were in Cagney and Lacey.
Right.
And little by little, we became extras. And the best job for a senior, Alan, and the best job for a senior in Hollywood is to be an extra. If you're called or if you're not called, doesn't mean anything. You're sitting in the sun, and then when lunchtime comes, you eat the most unbelievable food.
Okay, so we have to go on a little bit quicker. So then a couple of times you took Michael and Gabriel both over a couple of times right?
Yes.
Okay, and you took it with Mom, and Miriam had Mimi's kids. These are Mimi's kids. How she ever let you take these kids cross country?
We talked about how did I ever take those 2 children around?
But they had the greatest time, right?
Oh, Alan, we had a wonderful time.
Okay, so I want to speed up a little bit.
All right.
Okay, so then, so basically, and Mommy kept on telling me she wants me to come home. She wants me to come home. I lose my job on Cagney and Lacey. I decided.
Oh, wait, I want to tell you something.
Okay.
we come to visit you.
Right.
Why did we come to visit you? Maybe we would find a Jewish
A Jewish girl for me.
Jewish.
Oy
So
vey. So
Alan,
anyway.
no, serious.
Right, I believe you.
And we looked, we didn't come. But Alan, that was one of the big
Okay.
reasons.
So, but you used to come. You had a good time. You went to the Fairfax district, which
That's-
is the
that's
Jewish,
right.
which is the Jewish
right.
district. So, I guess in the end of 1987, I give mommy a call, and I give you a call saying I'm coming home,
That was one of the best times of our lives.
and
And,
and that was it. And then
and
I
that was
said,
a new life for all of us.
and I came back and I finished up my education
That's right.
with a plan. I'm going to finish up my education. I'm gonna get a job. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids, and I did those things.
Right?
But okay, so I came back and then I finished up my education.
That's right.
I got a job, got married, had met Wendy.
Wendy.
Oh yeah, by the way, David met Cynthia in medical school.
Well, he met her in Buffalo,
Cynthia.
and they're still going
They're
together.
together since 1971. I met Wendy, my wife, in 1991, and we got married, and we've been married ever since 1991, late November 30th. If anybody wants to send anniversary cards. We had, in 1994, something happened. That's when Aaron was born. And my wife at the time was working 3 days a week. And so what did Mom and you do those 3 days?
Well, we had to help out.
Right.
And we lived. Look, Mom never said no.
But what did you do?
The truth.
You took care of Aaron 3 days a week. And what happened was Mommy used to take care of Aaron, and Wendy used to go to work. And you'd go to the club, and then you'd come back, and believe me, those are the days that Aaron remembers the most. When you used to sing songs like "Old Man River," and but what other songs for each kid that came? Because I'll never forget when Mommy and you held Aaron for the first time in your life. What's the first song you always sing to the
One
kids?
moment. Not only that, believe me when I say this. I know you. Every child
Right,
that
every
was
child.
born.
I'm talking about Gabriel, Michael.
Yes, every child.
Right.
And I would start singing. Auf in Pripyat brennt a Feuer, und in Stieb ist heiß, und der Rebellen kleine Kinderlach, dem Aleph Beis, und der Rebellen kleine Kinderlach, dem Aleph Beis.
Okay. And
Now, wait.
No,
And
no,
then
wait.
what will I
Wait.
say?
No. The other one. There's another song.
Now, what did I say to them? I hope you hear another Jewish word in your life.
Right.
But the first words you are hearing is a
Right.
Yiddish words. I had to tell it to
And what's the
everybody.
other? And what's the other? There's another Jewish song that you
And
sing
then
all the time.
a song of peace.
Right.
To me, that's one of the best songs. How does it go?
Yeah.
And I want to translate. In Yiddish, Lamir alle Freiler sein. Let us all be happy. Lamir all singen. Let us all sing. Sing for love, sing for peace, build bread. Here's how it goes. Lamir alle Freiler sein, lamir alle singen. Lamir alle Freiler sein, lamir alle singen. Singen for Shalom, singen for Bräut. Boy in the morgen, build it tomorrow, und Hass und erneut. Singen for Shalom, singen for Bräut. Boy in the morgen erneut, boy in the morgen erneut.
And you sang that to everyone.
To
I
every
know.
child.
And so then that's it. You sang it to Aaron, then Aaron Lewis List Bendich, and you sang it to my daughter Kara Tilly List Bendich.
The most beautiful girl in the world.
And then some other things happened. You became a great-grandfather.
Great-grandfather.
And let's just name the ones that you
All
became
right.
a great. Toby was the first.
Toby was the first.
Sarah
David,
was the second.
Abigail was the third.
Right.
And Layla.
No.
Oh no, and
Joshua was the fourth.
And
And Lila.
Lila just came.
Right. Lila's a brand new baby.
Lila was a present, actually.
Well, they were all presents, right?
I know. They were trying to get a child.
And it's wonderful. And they got one.
And they got one.
And it's good. Life is good, right?
Alan, you know the hat that I wear?
Right.
What does it say?
You tell me.
Life is good.
That's it.
Miriam was in Fort Lauderdale. She saw the hat on
Right.
She bought it for me.
Right.
And she brought it home, and I wear it. Life is good.
So, Daddy, 20 years ago, 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 20 years a Has the 98 years been more than you expected?
Yeah, never. You know, who thinks about things like that, though?
Actually, the question I have to ask you is, what advice do you give to people, you know, in terms of,
Oh,
you've lasted 98 years.
Yeah, good question.
What's going to happen?
Listen,
Yes.
the first thing, please, one of the first things, be an optimist. You must, that's my life, I'm an optimist. Be an optimist. First of all, you're happy when you're an optimist. But you want to do things, you're an optimist. And you find out you're an optimist, things fall in the way you want it.
Right.
And nothing sad, be happy.
Because I will say one sad thing. You know, unfortunately, Mom passed away 3 years, 2009, right?
That time too.
And the issue is, I mean, was it 2010 or 2009?
No,
it was 2009, I think, right?
But Alan,
But the thing is, I just remember I was the one who told you about Mom. And then as we were grieving, as we were going to Mimi's house, because you spent some time with Mimi, you said, I have to start my life over again.
That's
because if I don't, there's no good way, there's no good passage after that.
Alan, that's the whole thing. When Mom died,
Yes.
we died.
Right.
But a second later, Alan, a second later, a new life starts.
That's what you said.
And that's
and
what
you
I
said.
said.
I couldn't believe that you had that clarity right after Mommy passed.
That's what the three of you, the three were looking at me as listening to him talk.
Right.
They were worried what was going to happen. I was the active person.
Right.
I didn't like being in Kate House.
Right.
Why?
Where are you
Because-
staying now?
Where
Well,
else?
but you went there because of Mommy.
Yes.
Right.
But Mom loved it like this.
I know she
She
loved it.
read it. She was sitting there.
And she would
reading.
be so happy just to see her grandchildren come, her I mean, how she
It
would
was-
sit there with the biggest smile on her face, and she was the happiest woman.
And even though, remember our family, 18 people,
Yeah.
we're lucky, one person died.
I
The
know.
normal,
It's unbelievable.
if it was either Mom or me,
Right.
we never talked about it. We knew we're not going to die together.
Right.
Mom died.
But then, but you lived, and you continue, and you
And,
live,
and I lived, and again,
you live.
and I'm having a good life.
I know.
And again, even though I even met somebody, and I even met you
That's
you
good.
want to meet somebody.
I know, and you met more than one person, but you had a good time. And you know what? This is a nice time to stop. I mean, it's never a nice time to stop. But I think we actually got a lot of things. This was optimistic and a wonderful episode. And I love you, Daddy. And I'm happy that you were on the show. And I have to say, just
I love you.
I got to say a few words. It's a wrap. Good night.